Supercharged Toyota MR2. And on today's episode of KBELL TV, I want to show it to you and tell you a little about it. I've been promising a look at this vehicle, both here and on Jedi TV, and now I'm finally getting around to doing it. When this MR2 came out in 1988, I wanted one so bad. But my first child had just been born, and it just wasn't a practical vehicle for a growing family. Fast forward 27 years to 2015. When the opportunity came for me to own one of my dream cars, I jumped on it. And since that time, I have loved, cared for, and had massive amounts of fun finally living out my dream of owning the first supercharged production car in Toyota history. As a matter of fact, the first supercharged production car by any manufacturer since the 1960s. And have I mentioned yet that this little MR2 handles amazingly? Once you get used to the mid-engine rear-wheel drive configuration, which handles quite a bit differently from anything else I've driven. There is a learning curve to figure out all of its quirks. This supercharged model produces just about 145 horsepower, and that's only roughly 25 horsepower above the standard model. That might not seem like much, but the 140 foot-pounds of torque from the supercharged 1.6-liter engine moves this lightweight 2,500-pound car from 0 to 60 in just 6.5 seconds. Running the short throw 5-speed gearbox through its paces on a winding road is one of life's simplest pleasures. This is not a sip a cup of coffee Sunday drive type vehicle. It's a vehicle meant to be driven by folks who like to actively drive. The Mark I MR2 has a very distinct and very 1980s style, especially with its pop-up headlights and asymmetrical Testarossa-like side vent. My MR2 features what Toyota calls the T-bar roof. This gives a very Targa, almost convertible-like feel to the little mid-engine runabout. And you can still enjoy your favorite driving tunes with the wind whipping through your hair, thanks to the optional 5 speakers strategically located around the two-seater's cab. Other options on my Mr. 2 include rear spoiler, power windows, power mirrors, tinted windows, mud guards, cruise control, intermittent wipers, and air conditioning. And all of those options continue to look great and or work flawlessly after all these years. And even with my heavy foot, I'm able to get 24 miles to the gallon out of this 1988 supercharged Toyota MR2. When I first purchased this car, I had intentions on either painting it or giving it a cool Mr. Incredible themed wrap, since this MR2 kind of reminds me a little of his car from the movies. Add to that the fact that the factory paint is old and faded in some spots and scratched in some areas, and it has a little dent located on the driver's side headlight. So a new paint job or a wrap would go a long way to making this already cool little car even better. But I haven't done that yet, and frankly, I moved on to other hobbies that keep me pretty occupied. So instead of having this car live out its days stored in my climate-controlled toy museum, I've decided to give it a new home and put it up for sale this year. See, I've put less than 150 miles per year on the car for the last 2 years, and that's just no way for a vehicle like this to be treated. Like I said earlier, it's a car that's meant to be driven, but I find myself occupied with my other hobbies, and my travels are spent in much larger vehicles. So if you're looking for something like this, now is your opportunity to own a beautiful, well cared for example of this rare 1980s iconic sports car. According to Toyota, just 7,885 Toyota MR2s were sold in the United States during 1988, and the number of supercharged cars sold is estimated to be just 10% of those import numbers. Plus, this car was only available in 1988 and 1989, with similar numbers sold both years. As of the recording date of this episode, my MR2 has less than 160,000 miles on it, and about the only thing it needs to be 100% is new paint. Structurally and mechanically, it's sound, with no rust or mechanical issues. So, if you're seriously interested in this vehicle, you can let me know down in the comment section, and I'll be in touch. Pricing and other links to contact me will be in the description box of this episode. And I'll mark the title on YouTube, Sold, when this MR2 does find a new owner, but I'll leave this episode up as a way of documenting my time with and love for this particular vehicle. Lots of pictures of my 1988 Supercharged Toyota MR2 can be found on Instagram. Just search for @Mr. Incredibel there. All right, that's it for this episode. Now, go out and play. Moves this lightweight 25-pound car, 25 pound, oops,